All right, this is Women on the Move Book Club, and we're starting our year off for 2021 to 2022, and we have almost a full house today. So we'll all introduce ourselves, and we're just going to give our first name only, and then we're going to dive right into the book. And I hope whoever listens to this eventually loves our conversation because we're a delightful bunch of ladies. So I'm Cindy, and we'll let you go next, Miss P.
I'm Pam.
Miss J.
Hey, my name is June.
Miss A.
And my name's Allison.
Miss T.
Hi, I'm Tammy.
Oh,
Miss-
Tiffany and Tammy.
There
There's
you
two of
go.
us.
And then last but not least, Miss E.
Erica.
Awesome. And this month's book happens to be my book choice, and it's called The Art of Hearing Heartbeats by Philipp Sendker. And I had never read one of his books previous to this one. And when I read it, I fell in love with it. So I have a series of questions. I have a fun little quiz for us, and I have some questions for it, but just real briefly, my first question that I have for all of you ladies is in 2 words, tell me, 1 or 2 words, tell me what 2 words you would use to describe the book. And I'll start off so it gives you a second to think about it. My 2 words would be unconditional love.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
Pam, what would your 2 words be?
I would say beautiful love story.
Okay, June.
Star-crossed lovers.
Oh, say that one more time, June.
Star-crossed lovers.
Ooh, beautiful. Allison.
I was going to say heartbreak, but a roller coaster of a story.
Yes. Tammy.
I was going to say love story.
Okay. Tiffany.
It was precious and very kind. I loved the kindness throughout all of the characters.
Mhm.
Yes. And then Erica.
Enchanting tale.
Ooh. Ooh, okay. Well, it sounds like everybody liked the book, so that's a good thing.
Yes.
Awesome. So I have some questions, and then, because sometimes we do a summary where we all give our input, but I want to ask these questions first, and then we can go into more detail about the story so I can get your take on it. But each of you tell me who your favorite character was and why. And whoever wants to start, just go for it.
Mine was the uncle. I love the uncle.
Did you? Ooh,
Yes,
sauce.
I did. Because he was devious. That was a rascal. He was a rascal. I mean, he only thought about himself.
I'll be right.
I mean, the funniest part in there with him is when he was angry because he saw a blade of grass sticking up. I guess when they cut the lawn, it was one blade of grass up, and he said he would beat that person that didn't cut that grass right. He was funny. He was comedy relief.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. Okay, who wants to go next?
I think I liked Suki. I liked them all, but I liked Suki because she had so much compassion and wanted to help him and take care of him.
Exactly.
She was a little oblivious, but she was so kind-hearted.
Exactly. And
I
just a
loved all-
neighbor.
All of the characters were amazing, but yeah,
Yes.
Okay, that was
Yes,
your
they were.
favorite.
yeah.
Awesome. Pam, who was your favorite?
I would have to say it would be Mimi. Was it Mimi? The
Yeah,
girl?
I
awesome.
called her My. How did you ladies
Mimi
pronounce
is
her
how
name?
I call
Mimi.
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 I said
Okay, let's call her
Mimi.
Mimi.
I liked her because no matter what, she had an upbeat spirit, and she just thought the world was beautiful and everything in it was beautiful. She did not let her disability stop her. She just accepted it. That's the way it is, and I'm rolling with it.
Yes.
okay.
Yes. Tammy.
I liked Yuba. I was
Marion.
a little confused. It took me, it really
Yeah.
didn't occur to me that he was Tin Win's son.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought he was the same age as Tin Win. I was
Right.
just a little confused about that, but he was just so precious in the way he treated Tin Win's daughter from America.
Julia.
I want to
Yeah.
cry because I have a confession to make. I've been reading this book for the last 3 hours and I was 8 pages away from the end. And I've been feeling for the last hour and a half he was his son. And you just confirmed it because I haven't gotten to the end yet.
Wow.
Okay.
So, but I've known it since the second day they had a conversation. I had a feeling.
Right.
So,
Erica, you figured it out that early. I did
Oh,
not.
yeah.
It was towards the end with me.
no,
Yeah,
their second
me
meeting,
too.
I knew. Yeah. Yeah. Their
Okay.
second meeting, I knew. Yeah. I had a feeling.
All right. Tiffany, who is your favorite character and why?
Who was my favorite? The way he told their love story. I mean, he could have had a whole 74 different reasons not to like this girl, but he wanted her to know every minor detail. At first, I thought he was one of Mimi's brothers, one of the brothers telling the story. But then I figured out he knew too much. I still am not sure how he knew about the letters. I never figured that out because it never says that the letters were given back or, how did he get the letters from the uncle's desk?
Right.
So that still kind of left me confused, but the way he wanted her to know every detail and he wasn't going to skip to the end. And I just thought that was very sweet of him because she had to hear it in its entirety to understand why he left America to come back and be with me. I
Right.
just thought that was a very precious way. And I could see that would be her son. Her character
Yes.
was very sweet. I
Right.
could see that Mimi would have raised that kind of boy. And how
Right.
many times had he heard that story in his life,
Right.
but never knowing his father?
Exactly. Exactly. Erica,
Yes.
who was yours?
Well, I said Suki, but yes.
That's right. I'm sorry because you went first. Yes. Okay. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Allison, who was your favorite?
I think it was Tin Ween because he just had the biggest heart. He just had the biggest heart, and he went through a lot as
Yes.
a young child, and he overcame a lot of different things, and to still have that type of love
Right.
and that type of caring for people. And someone mentioned earlier about they weren't for sure how they had the letters. I think it was Su Chi, the uncle, either he got killed or he died or something, but she had gotten the uncle's property and he had all those letters in like I guess in his possession. So she went through them and when I guess she also gave some to Mimi, showing that, hey, here's the letters that you sent to Teen Ween, and here's the letters he actually wrote you back. So, and I was confused too, because I didn't know, I'm like, how did they figure out what happened?
Right.
And
Didn't
But
he
I
leave
think
the
it was-
property too?
I'm not for sure.
What ask?
I missed that part. I don't
What'd
know who
you
he left the property. Who did he leave the property to?
All his belongings and everything. So I think he ran from his home and went to where Su Chi was to do some business or something. But I think a lot of his problems were coming, to a head. And then something happened to him. And I wasn't for sure if he was killed by somebody or he died suddenly. But Su Chi was able to get his belongings, I guess, in these suitcases.
Yes,
And so
because
that's how.
that was the beginning of World War II. And so he got caught up in all of that.
Oh, okay.
That's
Yeah.
right. Because he knew the war was coming.
Mhm.
Exactly. Yes. And you know what, Tin Win, he was my favorite character as well. And when you think about a boy who was abandoned by his mother, but his mother
Yeah.
thought he was bad luck. I mean, from the time that
Right.
she had him, what the chickens were dying. One of their relatives, the aunt died, and she
Right.
thought this boy is just terrible. He's bad news. Oh, and the father got killed. Remember, wasn't
Yes.
he cutting a tree? Or
He was
was
out in the
Did
field
he
somewhere.
Did he get hit in the head with something? I think you get hit in the head.
I didn't write that down because when I read this book, I think I finished it in June, and then I hadn't taken notes, and then I decided to make it my book club, so my book club choice. But anyway, so the father had died, but anyway, the mom. So June, when you said that Usaw was your favorite, it's like we had two villains in this book, Usaw and to me, Tin Win's mother.
Mother, yes, she
Yeah.
was.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, right,
That
right.
was wicked.
Right.
You know,
Yes.
she left a 6-year-old boy
Mhm.
to fend for himself. It's like, shame on you.
Right, that was sad. That was a sad
Right.
part.
But
you
in
know,
those
he
times,
waited
the
for her.
superstitions were so
I was getting
strong.
ready to
Yes,
say that,
right.
yes, in those times in the Burmese people, it's like superstitions, you know, so it's like people would have understood that even though we don't believe in that, but that's a cultural thing. So, but it's
Not
there
so,
was
even in just
such
the
a
Burmese, but in all cultures, superstition was huge back then. Think about the voodoo dolls and the,
oh yes.
I mean, across the world, superstition was
Right.
huge at that World War II time. So
Right.
I could see where she would say all these bad things have happened since this child. I
Right,
personally don't know that I would have walked away from him, but you know, it kind of makes you understand that.
right,
But-
exactly.
But my
And I
eyes,
tell you
she
another part.
feel
Go ahead,
that way about my
Go
Mai. I mean, it was a totally different there was a disparity between Tin Win's mom and my Mai's.
Right,
My
Mhm.
Mai's, her mom only chose her own counsel and what she thought
Yeah.
was right. Whereas Tin Win's mom, went by what some strange psychic told her.
Right.
Astrologist and a star counter.
yes.
Mhm.
Right, exactly, exactly. And then I want to ask you this final question, and then we can all go around and share the touching points of the book for us, and then I have a fun quiz for us at the end. So what value did you receive from reading the book? How did it enlighten you? Did it give you value in any way? And I'll start it off with this. With mine, it's like unconditional love were the two words that I chose. I just thought the love that Tin Win and Mai had for each other, I had never read that kind of love in any book,
No.
and I've read thousands of books. And the fact that because his vision was gone, so he was attracted to her heartbeat. You know, he's leaving the monastery or the Buddhist, and he's trying to get home. You know, he's not able to get there. He needs help. She's attracted to him initially. And think about it. She is his eyes and he is her feet and her legs.
Mhm.
Right.
So they balanced each other out, but their devotion and the fact that each of them wrote a letter to each other every single day for 1 year and never received any response.
Mhm.
How many of us would do that? But
Not
that
many.
is pure love. It's like, I'm going to write, they thought the best of each other.
Right,
they didn't
right.
think the worst at all. And then, Usaw was just wicked,
Yes,
where, yes, where he's telling her, look, he can't write anymore. He can't, anyway. So so the value that I received from the book was the beauty of unconditional love between people. Because, a lot of
That's
times
true.
we see unconditional love between a mother and her child, but
Mhm.
not in relationships.
Right.
No.
That's deep. So anyway, who would like to go next?
I
Got that.
Okay, who said that? Okay, I tell you what I liked about it. I think that when he became blind, Tin Win became blind, I think that his senses all came to meld together. And it's like he could see things that we can't see. And it's like, that's how is it my mind? Or Mimi, whatever you want to call it.
However you want to pronounce
That,
it.
yeah, how they seem to just meld together. And like they became one. And I tell you what impressed me is when they were laying down in the shack, and he pressed his hand against her stomach. I believe she was pregnant then, because
Oh, okay.
I believe she was pregnant, and he probably felt it. She probably knew, but didn't know what it was. And that's how that connection kept them together, because I just believe that they believed that they had something that they could hold on to. And all through the years, that something kept them together. And in the end, we found out who that something was.
Mhm.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when I was looking through some notes that I had taken, but I had to get it off of the internet with the book, a summary. I didn't remember this, but they were together. They were inseparable for 4 years before Tinwin went away to be with his
Right,
uncle.
right.
But then, they were just intimate towards the very end. So then they're intimate, and then he leaves. And then, we don't, in the story, the way Uba was telling the story, that wasn't really touched upon, what was happening in her life and with him.
Right.
And then, the fact that she had this child, it's like, oh my goodness. But, the sad thing is, isn't it sad that it was just cataracts?
Mhm.
Yes. That's very
Okay.
sad.
Exactly. So who wants to go next about what value you received from the book?
I think
I
the
don't know
difference.
about a value. Oh, sorry, Erica.
No, you go right ahead.
Okay. I don't know about a value. It was a very sweet love story. I think two things. I enjoyed the culture, learning more about the culture and the time period.
Mhm.
I really enjoyed that because I could really feel, the Buddhists. I could see how that, they were in their very regiment and how they had the farmers market. I just really enjoyed the time period, learning about those things. I was very angry at Tenwin for not coming back until I realized why he didn't, because of the uncle would own him. And I thought even more for him. But my favorite part of the whole book was when she was swimming, because she had no disability.
Yes.
And she was just free, and you could just see her heart just soar when she was in the water. That was my favorite part of the whole book. That's probably the only thing that really choked me up, was that part. And I think I went back and read that page like 3 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's a value that you receive from the culture. Okay. Erica, you've been trying to go 2 times, so you're next.
No, it's okay. I think the interesting difference between cherishing and not cherishing everyone. So you can see that Suki cherished Tenwin, Tenwin cherished Mimi, Mimi's mom and her whole family cherished her. There was Uba cherished his sister, even though she didn't know. And the vast differences between someone who cherishes someone and someone who doesn't. You saw the mother and how the wife, I feel so bad for her, because she had no chance. She had no hope, and they never even went back to her, but she never had the opportunity to feel cherished. And that all that love that was shared, and you can see the vast differences, the mom and the uncle and her.
Right.
That's what I thought was interesting.
Right. Miss Tammy.
Well, I thought it was a tragic love story in
Mhm.
some way, in many ways. And that's kind of what I got out of it. But I think the primary thing was that it was because of their culture. Because I was like, well, he could just go back and get her and then leave, but it just, there was just so many things about their culture that would have prevented any of that happening to make their lives happier. So,
And that time in the world,
yeah, exactly. That time
it seemed too far away compared to what we have now.
Right.
That would have been worlds away. Yes.
Yeah.
Right, because he couldn't jump on a jet and go
Thank
back
you.
at all.
Yeah.
And
Right.
they had problems with the war, trying to navigate the oceans, and then there was the Japanese and the Chinese invading the country. So yeah, I think it would have been a hard journey for him to even try to make that journey.
And they
Well,
could have ended up a lot worse. off.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
So-
true.
And
Allison,
I was thinking of the value. So you're asking the value we got out of the book
right.
itself.
How did the book move you? What value did you receive from the story
You know what? I was
or impression it made on you?
the impression it made was how much love you can hold, but then how much almost like being lonely too, because I saw that in his wife. He was very lonely, and it's like he didn't let her. Well, in the beginning, Julia did say that the mother told her that he said, I won't love you like you want me to. And so, but she's like, she kept hope, thinking that, he would, because they were, had been married for so long. And the sad part about it on that end is how he left them too, and not let them know where he was going, just left his wife and his kids. And I understood that his love for Mimi, I understand that was very strong, but for him just to leave his family for Mimi. And I was wondering if Tinwin knew that he had a son. I was wondering if he actually knew that he had a son.
Right.
Because would that had also pulled him closer to Mimi to drop everything, leave his family? Because when he was leaving that day, and I think Julie was saying that she had graduated from law school, and she stayed at their home, and that next morning he said, "I love you." And that was the day he left. And she hadn't seen him for 4 years. So I always wondered, what made him leave at that time? What made him just, pack up and say, I'm leaving? And, and how old was he too? How old was he when he left? But that had an impact on me, because I felt he was a likable character. And then I felt that it was kind of wrong of what he did to his family.
Correct.
But he got there.
It was a conflict in my heart on that.
But he got there and she died. I mean, don't you
Correct.
think that they were that connected? Like he knew it, and he
I
felt.
think so.
I think the story was that he knew he had to go because she was going to die, and he felt that.
Correct. Because he
Well,
was just with her one
He was
night.
dying too.
Right.
It was like that. It was like that. They had a string attached to their hearts,
Correct.
Did
and
he
that's
know that she was ill?
No, he had no
Did he
idea.
know?
He did.
Okay.
But Allison, that just shows, because think of the title of the book, The Art of Hearing Heartbeats. He didn't hear, but he was sight, he had a sight at that point, but
Right.
still it's like they were so connected through the heart. I think he had a pull on him where he knew he had to go back. But you brought up a really good point, Allison and Pam. You're the last one to share on this. You brought up a really good point in terms of desertion. Tin Win was deserted by his mother, but Tin Win did the same thing to his New York family.
Yes.
Yes.
So
He did,
history
right.
repeated itself.
It did.
Mhm.
It did. And I think me and Ma were trying to figure out how old Julia was at that time when she went to speak with Uba.
I
How old
pictured
was
her
she?
to be like maybe in her 30s. What did you ladies?
Right.
Well,
Okay.
she graduated from college, and then it was 4 years later.
something
Mhm.
happened in
Okay.
1968.
So I
Uh,
don't even think she was 30.
Maybe about
And I-
28-ish,
and
26.
I believe that Mimi, whatever, my, she got pregnant during the beginning of World War II
Mhm.
with UA. And when he's much older than Julie,
Julia, right.
Mhm.
much older. So, and it was a date, 1968, and I cannot remember what it was for, but it might have been that
Julia was born. Ma, I think Julia was born, Ma. I think that was her
Oh.
birthday.
Okay.
I think they said that she was born in 1968.
Mhm.
If I'm not mistaken, I think they did say she was born in 1968. So, but the year that was happening, I'm not for sure when that was going on. So she was born in 1968. So when did when did she go back to speak with Uba? So I
Right.
don't
Well,
know.
we're estimating she would have been about 26. So add 26 years to 1968. So that would be like 1994-ish.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yes,
But
Tiffany.
he seemed like he was an old man.
Uba did.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Yeah,
Thank
because
you.
right, he sounded like he was on his last leg.
Right.
He
Yeah, because
did.
when did the war start? 1940 something? So
It
he
started-
was, yeah,
Oh.
so I mean, the war hadn't even begun when, if you say that she got pregnant on the night he had to leave, that you saw called him.
I think he
and-
was 17.
Yeah, and so you figure, but if that's when she got pregnant, the war hadn't even started yet. So he was
Correct.
born in like 1940. So if that was 1997, I don't
He
know.
would have been like maybe
1905.
50.
Something.
He,
Mhm.
he would have been almost my age.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Tiffany.
I don't feel like somebody said that he did the same thing to his family that was done to him, but I kind of felt like he did what he was supposed to as far as
Right.
honor goes with his
Waited.
family. He stayed till she finished college.
Yeah.
And you know, he made sure his responsibilities were done. And at least that's how I took it. And then he left. So I didn't have issues with him not fulfilling, like I didn't feel like he abandoned his New York family. I felt
I
like,
think
you know,
he did
kind of
because
did
he
what
didn't
he did.
say.
Right. He just
He,
left.
he
Just
left.
left.
Right.
I
And
think he
the-
might have known he was dying. And he only had a short time. And that she was dying too, you know, because of
Do
their
you
connection.
wonder if he ever really did tell his wife?
I
About
doubt
his life
she ever
there?
knew. No,
No.
she didn't.
Never knew.
And
That
then-
was the thing. Nobody ever knew.
Exactly. And then in the book, it said the wife, when the daughter went, because the mom knew Julia was going, the mom was like, I don't even want to know any of it.
Right.
She had just washed her hands because she was
had.
bitter. I
Yeah.
think she was bitter because she was in a marriage where she wasn't really loved. She was hoping to receive love. And then after so many years, it's like, I think she was just bitter.
I think she was stressed and depressed.
Yes.
Right.
She knew this man didn't really love her. She was just
Yes.
there. And he provided for the family.
Right.
Right.
But
Right.
just because you provide doesn't make you love someone.
That's
Right. Because
true.
emotionally, she was void of.
Right. Right.
Yes. Yes. Pam.
Wow, all of your comments are above. But I think it was a beautiful love story. I like the fact that it took place in another country, so you could see how they interacted in love. I think it's a shame that when we live in the US where everything is available to us, that 10 women suffered from the cataracts and my suffered from what could have been corrected had they lived here and had a better life. And the uncle and Rangoon, or wherever he was at Usopp, he was doing this because of, what do you call those guys? Fortune tellers told him that he needed to do something good to
Right.
make his life better.
Thank you.
He
That's
Yes.
right.
was doing it because it was a family member. He was just trying to better himself.
Right. He was.
And I think that the connection that those two have, you only find that once in a lifetime, once in a million years, maybe never. For him to have known that she probably was, not older. Of course, she was older. The parents did teach her a trade to help herself out, roll the best cigars and stuff, so she could, support herself. But I think she knew her time had come, and I think he knew his had. And so he came, and they only lasted that one night, and then they cremated them, together. So I think, wow, what a story.
Right.
I don't know if this author writes in overseas or whatever, but have to look up and see if he has some more books. I think it was just an awesome story.
Yeah. And just so you ladies know, is this a series? I read one of the book that he wrote,
think it's a
which was
series.
one. Yes. Right. It was,
Okay.
I don't remember the name of it at this time, but it was really good. So let's share this, and then I just have some fun questions, and any other interjections that you ladies want to make is perfectly fine. So let's each share one of our favorite scenes in the book, and I'll start it off. My favorite, now, Minnie, what Tiffany said, whoa, yes, I visualize that because, you know, it's like her legs, she was just so free. But my favorite was when they died in the bed together.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
that's where I cried, Tiffany. I bawled
Yeah, okay.
because I just thought, wow, what love. So anyway, that was my favorite part. Pam, you went last time. You want to go next?
I think one of my favorite parts was how caring he was to her, how he didn't mind carrying her on his back to do everything. And it made no difference to him that, you know, he had to carry her. And it made no difference to her that he couldn't see. They helped each other out. I think that was wonderful. That's what life is about.
Amen. Yes. Allison.
I like how Suu Chi took care of him.
Mhm.
I like how she took care of him as her own.
Yes.
And her feelings for him, even though he wasn't her son, and no one even told her to take care of him. Or I'm not for sure if the mom said, "Hey, I'm leaving. Can you watch my child? I'm not coming back." But she just took care of him like he was hers, and she did, you know, what she felt was right. And tried to give him whatever she had, the loving home that she had, even though they were sleeping in the same room, 2 cots next to each other. She took care of him with love.
Yeah.
I love that. That was nice. That was really nice.
Oh no, it was sweet, you know. June.
I think my favorite parts was when Tin Win went to the monastery.
Mhm.
And how they all gathered around him and just took him up under their wings because he was blind. But they just seemed like they just brought him in, and they became like a mama bear
Right.
to took care of him. And it was love, you know, and they did everything for him. And at first, I think he was kind of like, I don't want this, I don't want that. But then he got to know these folks. They showed him different things. So I think that those men, men, they helped him. They helped him to get through a certain period because he didn't want to go. He really didn't want to go. And with them and their patience, he made it through. And I don't know. You don't find people like that now where they're patient with you or patient with someone. They're constantly at you. But this was totally different. And I like that about how they treated him.
Exactly. And they helped him become more independent. You know, when he was taking him around, it's like, this is how you maneuver. It reminds, when you were saying that, June, did all of you see the movie Ray with Jamie Foxx about Ray Charles? Remember when his mom, when Ray would be bumping his head, "Mama, help me." And she was just silent in the house because she knew her son needed to be independent. And then when he's leaving, you know, this shack, dirt, no shoes on his feet, to get on a bus, go away to a school for the blind, that was the best thing his mom could do for him. But I mean, just think how difficult that was to have your son leave, you know, whom you know, and, you know, I don't know if she ever saw him again, but anyway.
Wow.
Yeah, so
I
Tiffany.
forgot the older, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
The older monk who passed away. What was his name? And he also helped.
His name was Ube. Ube. UBA.
UBA?
Yes.
No, Uba, that was the brother.
You saw
the monk was Ume.
No, he was
Ume.
Ume.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ume was the Buddhist monk.
Okay. Yes, he had a story of his own too.
Yes.
But he also helped Team Wing, which I thought was nice too.
Yes, he
that
did.
Was really helpful. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut.
Oh no, it's all, that's the interruptions are what it's all about. Tiffany, did you want to add anything to your favorite part?
One of my other favorite parts, I guess, was when Tin Win first went to his uncle's, and his uncle was so impressed with his manners. And I thought, you know, that was one thing that made, because had he not gone there and represented himself the way he did, he could have just been tossed into a closet.
Right.
True.
He was only impressed with his manners though, because he was appreciative. He was such a narcissist that he is only appreciative that he said
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, that's a good word for him.
He never stopped one time to say, do you even want this? He just was like, feel grateful. Look, isn't it amazing? He has such good manners that he said, thank you for this gift I'm giving him. There was never 1 ounce of, and he laughed over the letters. He found that to be funny and laughing over their letters.
Well, that's how he mistreated his wife. So, you know, he was
That's
just,
true.
he was what he was.
Right.
And the snake killed her in the bed.
Exactly. And his whole thing was he wanted Tin Win to be groomed to come back and work for him.
Right.
It was
Right.
all about him.
was.
And then Tin Win
Everything.
finally realized after a year his uncle was being manipulative.
Mhm.
All right,
Right.
Tammy, what was one of your favorite or a couple of your favorite parts?
Well, the whole book was so perfect in its descriptions. It really allowed you to visualize him carrying her around on his back, and them going through the marketplace, and it just was very beautifully written. It very strong visualizations.
Yeah.
Right.
My favorite part was when Julia was, I guess she was looking at the photographs, and she realized that Yuba was her brother.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
And she realized that's what that was all about. So I thought that was
Right.
really sweet.
Right.
Or it was written well.
It was. And they portrayed him in the beginning. I visualized Uba as like a fragile old man.
Me
too.
Remember,
Yeah.
he could
That's
barely
why I
get,
thought he was the same age
Right.
as his dad.
like somebody who's bent over, crooked,
Right.
really
Yeah.
thin. Because remember, he was really sick at one point. And
Mhm.
oh my gosh, none of us touched upon this, but how Julia stayed with him.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah.
And then how she thought she wanted to stay at the hotel and she's like, ooh, I guess not. But that was really sweet because he didn't have much, but what he did have, he shared with her.
Right.
Oh my, he was,
Right.
yeah, but I pictured him as an old man.
I
Yeah.
do.
Well,
did-
when you live the life he
It was a
probably
hard life.
lived, I'm
Right.
sure
Right.
it aged him.
Right.
Yeah.
Because all of us, if we think back to not you, Erica, but a lot of us, if we think back to our grandparents, like when they were in their 70s, it's
My
like they
great-grandma.
looked old.
Yeah.
They look like people now who are in their 90s. These
Yeah.
days, people in their 70s, oh, they look like we do.
Yes, we do.
Amen,
Yes, we-
June. There you
Yes,
go.
we do.
It's
Yeah, but
not
that
until
I agree.
it's not until people, I have one of the gentlemen in my neighborhood, we befriended each other from walking. He is 93 years old. And I
Wow.
kid you not, if you saw, he walks a couple of times a day. He lost his wife a few years, like maybe 10, 15 years ago or so. And it just so happens that I know his daughter, his daughter's son-in-law and granddaughter from church.
Oh.
Because one day they went to pick him up. I'm walking, and then he tells them, there's Cindy. And then they're like, Cindy, they stop, and I recognize the car. And it's like, I see him in the car with them. And it's like, oh my. But I mean, this man, if any of you saw him, you would think sharp as a tack, everything's together. You would think he's like maybe 78.
Okay.
And
Wow.
and he still
Hold on.
drives. He lives
Hold on.
alone in his own home.
Still drives.
He
I
still
heard that,
drives.
Cindy. I heard that. That's an insult.
What, June? What's an insult, June?
When you said 78, I'm 78.
Oh, but June, you don't look like you 78.
Right,
You
right.
look like you're in your 60s, so you don't even count.
Because I tell the kids when we were driving down the street, I said, look at that old man driving. I said, oh, I'm old too.
And see, June, that's why I say 78. I forgot that you were even 78. So thank you for refreshing my memory, just because you don't look that, because now, whatever
Right.
age we are, we typically look about 20 years younger,
Right.
so it's like, that's a wonderful thing.
Oh,
So
yeah.
anyway, did I meet Erica? favorite parts.
Yeah.
So that means I look 28. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yes, and remember, the reason you didn't count Erica is because everybody, you have like 3 or 4 generations, and I don't think even your
My
mother's
grandpa-
older than 50.
My mom's a little older than 50. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, all right, if you say so.
I had two that really hit me, and one would be when he heard her heartbeat for the
In
first
the
time.
beginning,
Yes.
yeah.
When he
Yeah.
was establishing what it was, and that it just was like he had to figure out what it was, and then he determined it was a heartbeat.
Mhm.
That was one. And the other was when he had an absolute meltdown when she was gone for the day. And I was like,
Oh,
my first thought was, why is he freaking out? And then I realized that it was the trauma of being abandoned
Mm.
all settling on him, and the fear, because they always talked in the story that he was always fearful, that he always looked like he was afraid of something. And I think that was the fear of abandonment. And when
Yeah.
he couldn't find her, he thought that she was gone, and he couldn't,
Mhm.
that she was never going to come back like mom. And I don't think he could handle that.
right.
Because you figure his dad died, and then his mom
Yeah.
abandoned him, like, and then his eyesight abandoned him. I think he just couldn't. That, and his friends abandoned him when he lost his eyesight. And I think he just couldn't fathom the idea that he might be abandoned again.
Mhm.
Very well said. Okay, anybody want to add anything else? Or are you ready for my quick questions? These are just, let's see who knows the answer. I'm giving out points, okay? All right. First question. I said this, but let's see who remembers this. How old was Tin Win when he was abandoned by his mother?
6.
Six.
Very good. Okay, and then, this is something. Tin Win believes that no life should end with what? I'll give you some responses.
What was the question?
Tin Win believes that no life should end with what? Ill will, regret, bad memory, or a question?
A question.
Good job, Erica.
Oh,
Ding, ding,
okay.
ding. All right. Okay, at first, what kind of person does Julia perceive Uba might be? A performing artist, a con man, a beggar, or a distant relative?
Con man.
Con man.
man.
Got it. Ding,
Con
ding,
man.
ding. Con man. And
Mhm.
then what is Tin Win's reported cause of death? Diabetes,
Haven't gotten that
suicide, emphysema, or heart failure?
Failure?
Heart failure.
Heart failure. You got it, Pam. Ding, ding. All right. And then how long did Tin Win and My see one another before Tin Win is taken to Rangoon?
Every day.
4
years.
years, 8 months, 3 years, or 6 years?
4 years.
4 years.
I had said 4 earlier, but it's actually 6. I was wrong.
Oh,
Okay, and then wasn't that beautiful? It's like when they were died, what happened to Tin Win and Mai's bodies? What did they do with them?
They cremated him.
You got it. Isn't that
Right,
something
right.
how every single year in the town they would go back? And how long does Usa keep his nephew in Rangoon before he left? Does anybody remember? Is it 1 year, 3 years, 2 years,
I
or
think
9
it
months?
was 3. I think it was 3
Very
years.
good, Erica. Yes. Awesome. And then initially, what draws Tin Win to My?
Her heart.
Thank
Heart.
you. I wasn't giving you choices. Her heartbeat. And then, according to Ume, what is the greatest treasure people have? So
Love.
Ume, it was the love that they have for other people, the love in one's own heart, the wisdom in one's own heart, or the reputation they have left behind.
Love.
Love in the heart.
You got it. Love in one's heart. Exactly. And then why does Tin Win give in to his uncle's demands and wishes? We had talked about that. And so what was the reason he gave in to his uncle's wishes?
wasn't that their culture that he couldn't
got it.
disrespect his uncle.
Exactly. Perfect, Allison. And last but not least, what does Maya, that was the mom's name, call Tin Win? Does she call Tin Win a demon, a blessing, a bright young man, or a curse?
A
Curse.
blessing, a bright young man.
You got it. Exactly. And you know, that's a negative one. Let's end on a good one. Oh, here's, okay, we'll end on this one. This is good. What is Tin Win able to do for the first time while carrying My on his shoulders? A, dive, B, run, C, swim,
on
or jump?
Run on the railroad tracks.
Run. Yes. Awesome. That's right. So that, I hope you ladies thought that was fun.
Yeah, that was really good. That was
So,
really good.
and I'll give the book 2 thumbs up. Everybody give it 2 thumbs up.
Yes.
Awesome. Powerful, powerful, powerful.
Yes.
So that ends our book club for The Art of Hearing Heartbeats by Jan Philipp Sendker. And tune in to the next time for Women on the Move.